Hi. I was looking at the wrong camera. Hang on, let's move round.
Cool.
Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to an AMA. We haven't done one for quite a while because we've been pretty busy. So thank you all so much to everyone that contributed to our Kickstarter, to those of you that have contributed to our continuing pre-sales on Indiegogo, and to anyone who's just generally been interested, following what we're doing, sharing, liking, all that great stuff. Thank you for all of that support, and to reward it, we've been working very hard on completing the Dubler Studio Kit, which is why you haven't heard from us for a little while. So we thought we need to rectify that. Let's do another AMA. We've got a few questions. Kelly is currently live streaming also to Instagram. She's going to read out some of the questions as well Instagram, so we've got two cameras going on here. And so yeah, we'll answer a couple of questions. We'll give you a bit of an update on what we've been doing, and we'll also, we've got Dubler set up here, and we're going to do a quick, just a quick overview of how you might use it with GarageBand. We won't go into too much detail on that because we will be doing separate videos as we get closer to launch on setting up and running on with each DAW and stuff like that. But this will just give you a little kind of flavour, because we saw that quite a few people that supported the campaign were using GarageBand as their DAW, so we just thought, cool, let's do a video on it.
And anyone that's got a Mac has got free access to GarageBand, so yeah, it's a natural fit, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
So should we just kick off with that then? Straight into a little bit of GarageBand.
Yeah, people like demos. Let's do that.
Yeah, straight with the demo. Okay. So what have I got here? I'm going to try to change this. So I've already got GarageBand brought in, opened up, and I've already got some instruments in here. So let me just see. We've got this string instrument. This is what I'm connected to at the moment, and this is all being controlled by Dubler. I'll just make up my selections. So this is Dubler. I'm gonna one of the things with GarageBand is that you can't do multi MIDI channels at the same time. So basically, you're either doing synths or drums at one time. So I can do something like this and just turn. Oh, I'm just trying to click on the wrong thing. Hang on, and turn off the drum track. So then everything is on this side, and it's controlling in GarageBand. I think it was like a string instrument. So as with any DAW, we can do stuff like put on a key fix if we want. So here I've got it on C major or something like this. We can put it on C minor. We're still yet to implement other keys and also kind of reskin this bit, but that is very much in the works and will be done before we fulfill the orders in October. And I'll just switch over to GarageBand and just do the same thing so you can see what's actually happening. Hang on, here we go. GarageBand. This. So this is all controlling this smart strings here. Now, obviously I can change instrument, so I've got a bass here as well. So yeah, you can control all sorts of different synths. I could pull in different instruments here and use Dubler to control the pitch and the velocity and stuff like that, and record that in GarageBand. The other thing that you can do, of course, is be controlling drums. So we've got a couple of those in GarageBand as well. I'm going to quickly demo that. I thought I'd switch back so you weren't just looking at our weird screen the whole time. But here you can see I've got, let's have a quick look. I don't know what this is actually, Gritty Funk. It looks like
some sort of drum machine, but it comes out with weird noises, doesn't it? Give it a go. See,
let's give it a go.
Clangy sounds.
So the thing here that I obviously need to do is on Dubler, just go over to this side because I'm no longer controlling synths. If I did this right now, yeah, you get like a load of weird sounds because it's just triggering loads of different notes on a drum kit, which translate to loads of different percussive sounds. But I'll switch this over to the drum kit.
Yeah.
Running out of breath.
Seems to work quite well in GarageBand.
Yeah, actually, I quite like the gritty funk. It wasn't it wasn't quite as gritty as I thought it was going to be. It was pretty safe, but yeah, there we have it. And so it's got a lot of the same features GarageBand as Logic has. You can't do certain things like play two MIDI channels at the same time, like I mentioned before. But there's still a lot that you can do, and as we've just shown there, it works with Dubler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll probably leave it at that. We will, like I say, do another video on exactly how you set it up. To be honest, for something like GarageBand, it is very straightforward. It's one of the more straightforward doors that you can use.
Yeah, it's the same with Logic and GarageBand. It's almost, you plug in your MIDI device and it detects it, comes up with a little notification, one new MIDI device detected. And the way that we've implemented Dubler is that when you start Dubler, it basically masquerades or pretends to be a physical MIDI device. So it's just loading Dubler, you'll see GarageBand pop up saying, we've got a new MIDI device, and if that's the only MIDI device, it'll just play out of it straight away. So it's super easy, the setup on Mac, yeah.
And that actually, so I think one of the questions that we had was about using Dubler with Maschine. And so there are a couple of things out there. MainStage is another one that are slightly different. And at the moment, you can use Dubler with MainStage and you can use Dubler with Maschine. In fact, Maschine is actually fine because that is just a virtual MIDI device, isn't it? Mm-hmm. MainStage is slightly different. This is like a kind of live tool that's to be used kind of like, it's also by Apple, so it's used like Logic or GarageBand, but it's more for live performance. For that, you need to set up an IAC driver, which is slightly different than our virtual MIDI instrument. By the time we launch, it's all going to be super straightforward, and we'll talk you through how to do it. But basically, yes, you can use it with Maschine, and yes, you can use it with MainStage.
Do you mean Complete, I think?
Complete.
Yeah, Complete. It's the Complete, and then Machine's the thing that controls it, I think.
Yes, the Maschine does have its own software.
Does
well,
it?
I think.
Okay,
yes.
cool.
There's a lot of native instrument stuff.
There's so many synths, so many instruments. It's hard to keep track, but we activate all of them. It's just the main thing.
Yeah, what we should do is you should get in touch with these companies and be like, we're not entirely sure if we can use Dubler with your cool equipment. You want to send it over and we'll try.
That'd be ideal.
On that note, I'm just going to ask a few questions from the live chat, and we'll probably move on to the questions that came in before afterwards, seeing as those people are not here. And just on that note of asking people for free equipment, Good Noise Entertainment is asking if you can get a free copy, but then he does a crying laughing face, so...
Well, I mean, the thing is, at the moment, no one's getting a copy until we've finished it, because we're not going to send something out that's not ready. And, you know, it seems only fair that we should prioritize those people getting copies that have bought it. So, I'm sorry, maybe not.
Okay, and we've got a comment from Dallas Fort Music. When does this drop for Pro Tools?
At the same time as it drops for everything else, you could use it with Pro Tools now.
Yeah, I mean, if any DAW, anything that takes MIDI input can use Dubler. So yeah, we'll have to do another AMA with Pro Tools and showing how that works.
Yeah, I've given it a go with Pro Tools. It works.
Cool.
Okay, this guy I think is called DJ Tumbo or DJ Tumbao. Do you need the mic or can you use your own?
Right, so we're releasing this software and this first iteration for sure, it's all about getting it right, getting it working perfectly as soon as you get it out of the box. And for that reason, we're packaging it with this microphone that has this specific audio interface built into it and a specific microphone capsule, and we're working with a manufacturer and we've made a lot of tweaks and edits and to make sure that it's working really well. Also, on the software side of things, we've been making a lot of changes, a lot of optimizations, or optimizing it for this microphone. Now, yeah, so in the short term, I would say that our software it's all about the microphone and using it with our microphone. However, that doesn't mean that it doesn't stop you from attempting to use your own microphone. You might have a really good audio interface with an ASIO driver or something equivalent on Mac, really low latency, and you might have a really good microphone. We can't guarantee that will work perfectly because we haven't optimized it for that. But you can give it a go, and you might get good results. So we're not blocking any good quality hardware. If you've got it, it might be compatible, but there's just no guarantees at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. When we started out, I mean, we genuinely thought that it might not be possible to do it with any microphone. That's not to say that it has to be like, oh, this microphone that we've made there's something about it which is completely unique. It's more like you need to know, as long as it's a microphone that you know. Actually, and as we've gone on, we've been testing it with lots of microphones, of course. And with our microphone, you're guaranteed that it's going to work. With another microphone, you might even have like £1,000 microphone, and it still might not work. And that that's too big a risk for us, for someone to have a really high-end microphone, plug it in, and for the thing not to work. So we're like, no, we need to ensure that it works straight out of the box. So we provide the microphone. But if you've got an audio interface with configurable parameters, if you can change things like the EQ and stuff like that, you'll probably be able to tune your microphone manually to work with the software. But what we do is we tune the software to work with the microphone. So it kind of works more seamlessly.
Exactly.
Okay, so this isn't really a question, it's more just of a statement with a question mark, but I'll assume it's back to do with when we were talking about hardware. Akai MPC-X, question mark, assuming the question might be, is it going to work with it?
So, assuming that the MPC-X can take MIDI commands and use that to fire off the samples it has inbuilt, yes. I mean, we don't have an MPC-X. We'd love to be sent one.
If you're watching.
Yeah, if you're watching, please send us gear. But yeah, our software, I mean, I guess I sound like sorry if I've said this too many times already, but yeah, if our software works exactly like a MIDI keyboard. So if you had a MIDI keyboard and you can plug that into your Akai MPC or some other pads or any other device, and you can activate that sound coming out, Dubler will do that. There might be some interfacing through your computer to get to the Akai, but as long as you can hook it up, it will work. And that's the strength of the fact that we're using MIDI and the way that we've designed it. So.
If you've got, hang on.
Yeah.
If you've got something like this, this is the Focusrite Scarlett. It's got the 5-pin MIDI in and 5-pin MIDI out. If you're using something like this or better, because this isn't a particularly expensive one, as your audio interface, then you can just take the MIDI out from this, plug it into hardware and control it via Dubler. If you don't have one of these, you can just buy a USB to 5-pin MIDI out, which is basically like one of those but all built into a small USB interface that only does that. They're about 30 quid, and we've used those to control external hardware before, so probably it would be in a similar...
Yeah, we've got an AMA, if you scroll down on our Facebook page, you'll find it, an AMA showing how we're controlling hardware, and that's how we did it. So, yeah, and that's an old bit of kit that we're using, so pretty sure the Akai will have no problems.
Okay, so our final question, unless anyone else in the chat has got any questions, let us know. It's from Cyril. Is there any delay/latency between what is sung into the mic and when it arrives to the computer? Okay.
Well, the arrives to the computer bit's an interesting one because it's where you tier up the latency. So, obviously, any audio has latency. If you're using an acoustic guitar, it has latency, time it takes sound to travel. So when we talk about latency calculations, we can talk much more about the computational latency. And then if you happen to be standing 10 meters away from your speakers, don't forget to add whatever, 30 milliseconds or 10 milliseconds or whatever it is. So everything has latency. And then so you've got the latency that comes with any DAW. Now, if you're using Ableton at a good sample rate, then you've got very low latency. It's probably like 5 milliseconds. And that's for Ableton alone. Now we just use it with GarageBand. The latency on GarageBand is slightly longer. It's still like not an audible, noticeable amount. And then there's the latency that we bring in with Dubler, which is around 10, 11 milliseconds, is that right?
Yeah, it's approximately 11 milliseconds as things stand.
So to get your end-to-end latency, you've got to add all of these up. But as you could see there, we just did a demo with GarageBand, which isn't as low latency as Logic or Ableton. And we're using it there with Dubler, and it's like it's not noticeable latency. So it's still under. Depends. Obviously, different people have thresholds for latency, but all end to end, it's still under say 20.
I'll just add one more thing to that. So George has described the latency of our software, which is about 11 milliseconds. The latency of the DAW or output, which will be GarageBand or Ableton or Logic or what have you. So you add those together, and then there's one other component which is, well, there's actually a couple more, but the microphone into the computer. So we've selected a microphone with an audio interface that is very low latency in Mac, a few milliseconds, and we've also done work in Windows to create an ASIO driver that's custom for this chipset. Again, to bring the latency down, so it's a few milliseconds there, and then you sum those together, and finally, like George was saying, you think about how far away you are from the speakers. So it's really nice if you've got headphones, you put it in. We've got it down to a latency where you're beatboxing, got the headphones on. It just feels like it's quick enough to feel instant, or at least to me. Maybe for a musician can pick out the difference. But yeah, it's pretty sharp.
That's all our questions, I think. Yeah. Unless anyone else in the chat has got any questions, let us know. But maybe we could do another little demo for people that have just joined. We've had quite a few people in and out of the room that may not have seen the demo.
Okay, so just if you weren't on before, we're demoing with GarageBand. The reason that I'm saying that's particularly important is because normally at this stage with ridiculous overconfidence, I would try and do beatboxing and synth at the same time, which Dubler is capable of, but GarageBand isn't capable of, so I'm not going to be doing that, and that's why I'm not in. Let me just check what I've even got on here. I got lost. Okay.
But yeah, you can hear how quickly George is triggering it. It's capable of triggering lots and lots of notes really, really quickly.
And I'll swap over to some strings. End it with some beautiful strings.
I've actually got a couple more questions coming in last minute. Okay, so Miss Sam says, what is the price?
Price is at the moment, if you're going to back us as a pre-sale, so you already missed the lowest possible price, which is on Kickstarter, but you can still get a massively discounted price on Indiegogo at £220 plus postage, and then when we launch in October, when it'll be more like buy it now, you'll be able to buy it on Amazon and get it delivered a few days later, that kind of thing, which will be more like, well, once all the pre-sale customers have had their stuff delivered, then you'll be able to do that, and then it'll be full price £295, and that's pounds, UK pounds, I don't know.
Sterling, yeah.
Sterling, yeah.
Sterling,
It's probably going to be worth nothing around then.
And a question from Jay Kells. Is production on schedule to be released in October or sooner?
Right, so as things stand, certainly we're on target for October, and we're making every single move that we can to hit October. So we're very confident about October.
Yeah, I'm confident for October. I wouldn't start thinking about sooner.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean before we were talking about like, if we managed to go really far, really quickly, we could release something earlier, but I think October is a very realistic kind of
I'd say
time.
That's true, but the interesting thing about that is you might think that us reassessing that is because something slipped, but that's not the case. It's because actually we've thought we've got time to. Obviously with anything there's going to be things that we continue to improve, after we've launched the software, we'll continue to send you updates and improve things. We want to make sure that we hit the kind of base level of our standards, which are very high. But what we actually thought was we got time to also just pick off a couple of these other things that we wanted to do to just improve a few aspects of the software. So we're still very much on schedule.
That's true. I mean, we've been adding in new things and improving things based on this October deadline, and that's given us some more kind of bandwidth to do those things.
And the feedback from our testing as well.
Yeah.
But there is, of course, one thing which is most of it is all in our hands. The microphones are not being manufactured in the UK, and with that, obviously, comes a certain amount of let's just hope this all works out. So at the moment, everything is going really well. We've got great communications. The company that we're working with are based out of Taiwan. They're really nice. We met them quite recently again in Frankfurt because they're an international company. They travel all around. And as our lead times go, we're on schedule with them. However, if the global price of some core metal or something changes and blah blah blah, you never know. So that'll be the thing that we'll keep updating you on closest. But at the moment, we've built in enough contingency, so we should be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think from this point on, we'll be doing regular AMAs. We recently moved office, which is why you can see that we have so much more space than we had before.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
There's not
a lot to see right now, but we're gradually improving, but we're focusing on the product right now.
Exactly, yeah. So with all these things, there's been a lot of change since the Kickstarter ended, and we've even got a new employee called Julia, who's
started this week. Unfortunately,
well, I would say unfortunately, but she's off kayaking, ocean kayaking. So that sounds pretty exciting. Yeah. But yeah, she's joined and she's working on products. So she's on the tech team. So we're increasing the build, increasing what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all done.
I think we're all caught up, and there's lots of people saying some really nice things as well. So I will share that with you guys afterwards. Obviously, I'm behind the screen, so I can see all of that stuff, but you guys can't. So.
Well, if you have any more questions that you want answered, you can drop them in the comments. You can pop them on our Facebook group, however you want, on the Kickstarter page. Just let us know, because we want to do these AMAs frequently, and we can always any unanswered questions will get rolled into the next one. Yeah. Cool. Well, Thanks very much, and we'll catch you at the next AMA.
Cheers.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.